You have to truly believe in the magic.
What's up, Magic fans? I'm Mikey, and welcome to this week's episode of Penny for Your Thoughts, the Orlando Magic UK podcast. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of August, 2022. On today's episode, we are going to break down the new Orlando Magic regular season schedule. We're going to take a look at some key matchups and dates that's just dropped just before we started recording this. And we are also going to quickly discuss a comment made earlier this week regarding Warriors guard Jordan Poole and the Orlando Magic. But before we get all into that, let's welcome in my two co-hosts, Paul Bacon and Geraint Jones. Evening, boys. How are we?
Very well, my friend. Yourself?
Very well, mate. Very well.
We'll all smiles, looking at this schedule.
Yes, absolutely. And G, not so much.
Mate. Well, yes and no.
We'll save that.
Of nice, we'll save it. But I tell you what, it's good to have you both back on the podcast.
It's been a while for me.
A couple of weeks. Yeah, it has, isn't it?
Being away and all that sort of thing. So yeah.
How was your trip to Robiners Bay, Paul?
It was beautiful, mate. I had a lovely time. Really good. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good to get away with the family. Beautiful weather. Plenty of cake. Plenty of coffees. Good food. Plenty of fish and chips. And, of course, the obligatory beer or two.
Good man.
It was a good time. Good time.
Good man. Okay, well, before we dive into all of that, first of all, if you'd like to support the podcast and help us do what we do, if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, Orlando Magic UK, even if you subscribe to the podcast on Apple or Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, if you can support our YouTube channel, that would really help us out. You can also support us using our affiliate links for the NBA Store EU and Fanatics UK, who sell NFL merchandise at NBA, football jerseys, rugby. They do all sorts of stuff on there. And you can also visit our own online store, magicfansapparel.tmail.com, and you can find all of the links in the podcast description and on our website, orlandomagicuk.com. Okay, right, let's dive into the schedule because it's now 8:45, so we found out about 30 minutes ago. So we've had a quick chance to make some notes and have a scan through. More importantly, if you listen to the podcast, you know we're all going to be there for the start of the season. So we've already started doing a bit of holiday planning and finalising everything. But
little holiday dancing here.
100%, mate. So we are 6 weeks away from training camp. We've known since the beginning of June the Magic will play 5 preseason games, 3 on the road at Memphis on the 3rd of October, San Antonio on the 6th, the Dallas Mavericks on the 7th of October before heading home to face Memphis on the 11th and Cleveland on the 14th to wrap up preseason. And then today, the NBA finally released the upcoming season schedule. The Magic will start on the road at Detroit on the 19th of October. They will play the home opener against the Boston Celtics on Saturday, the 22nd of October, which Paul will be in attendance for.
Absolutely.
And then I think the last game of the season is at Miami, which is actually a really nice early UK-friendly tip-off at 6 p.m. The Magic have 4 nationally televised games, 3 on NBA TV, and 1 on NBA TNT, which is against the Thunder on the 1st of November, which we'll be in Orlando for. So we got to find a bar for that one, boys. Or
Miller's Sports Bar. It's the rules.
There you go. And Paolo versus Chet, finally, something we've all been waiting for. We never got to see in Summer League. The Magic play 13 back-to-backs this season. We've got 15 early tip-offs that tip off before midnight in the UK, which include the Kings on the 5th of November, Celtics on the 17th of December, the Hornets in February, Clippers in March, and the Heat in April. I wasn't going to go through all of that too much. So, boys, right, I'll start with G because he's been quiet so far. What's your first takeaways, mate?
Well, I suppose, first of all, quite glad that we've got 4 games. Paul's obviously got 5, but he's there for a week longer than us. I know you boys are absolutely ecstatic that we've got Golden State. You've been grinning like
buzzing.
Cheshire cats for the last half an hour. So it'd be great to see Steph Curry. I'd rather we'd have played the LA Lakers just because I want to send them
It's just
home
never
packing.
pleasing some people, is there? Hey? Your first chance to go since we've been for the playoffs, and you get the Warriors, and it's not quite good enough.
I mean, let's be fair. You've
good.
got the NBA champions. You've got the greatest 3-point shooter of all time. Regardless of what you said about JJ Redick, who's he signing with earlier on, G.
Yeah.
You're talking about what is, in modern terms, a dominant basketball team loaded with all-stars. Mate, why would you not be excited to get them over the Lakers? Apart from the only thing that you could possibly want is that stat padder that is LeBron these days is handed his backside by a Magic team showing how to play basketball, because that's what we're going to do this season. That's what it is, isn't it?
It's exactly that, mate. It's exactly that. And the arena is going to be full of, yellow jerseys when we do play them. So to be in attendance and to give as good as you get, that's exactly what I'd have liked to have done. But no, you make great comments there about Golden State. Superb spectacle to obviously be able to see Steph Curry and all of his mates. One thing I will be happy is to be able to boo Draymond Green, because I'm not his biggest fan, let's be honest. But
don't forget, mate, you've got to shout congratulations to Andrew Wiggins, because you thought he genuinely deserved to be an all-star.
Oh yeah. We might have to make a sign or something for young Andrew. but
we'll have to start another GoFundMe account for him for funding his campaign to be an all-star again. Perhaps you could donate some of your OnlyFans money, mate.
Maybe. I'm saving that for a trip next year, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
if anyone wants to subscribe to G's OnlyFans, he's got, what did you say earlier, Paul? He's playing with a daffodil and
it's amazing what he can do with a leek and a daffodil.
Very, very good, boys. Very, very good.
My OnlyFans went bankrupt.
But going back to the games that we have.
Get it back on track, G.
Yeah, mate.
So, we've got Charlotte. Paul's got Boston, obviously, which is the opening Magic home game. Then we've got Golden State, Sacramento, Houston. There's no reason why on those, for Mikey and myself, we can't go 3-1. Very winnable games against Houston, Sacramento, and Charlotte, I believe. Hopefully we can beat Boston as well, so Paul can have a 4-1 or a 5-0 holiday as well. But what struck me interesting was there's 6 times in the whole schedule where we basically play consecutive teams, maybe not back to back, but maybe there's a day's difference. We play the Pacers in Indiana twice. Then we play the 76ers on a home and home, twice at home. The Raptors twice at home. At Boston twice. At Philly, and then towards the end of the season we play Cleveland. So obviously the league's looking at potentially the injuries and reducing the travelling. So that's good to see, I suppose. But no, it's a decent schedule. New Year might be a little bit brutal. Quite a lot of road games then. We've got the 2 West Coast trips to do after the New Year. But all in all, I'm pretty pleased with it. What do you think, Paul?
Right, I think unlike last year where we looked at the schedule and went, this is horrendous. We played so many road games to start with. We all felt that even though we knew that we weren't going to be a competitive team last season, we were dealt a hand that made sure that we weren't going to. That schedule was horrendous. You genuinely look at this one and feel that from the start, from opening night through to mid-December, there are an awful lot of very winnable games. I'm not saying that we're going to beat Golden State, but who's to say that with a little bit of momentum as you hit the ground, that they can't do. That 7-game November homestand, of which we're there for the start of, does have some difficult games, but the team's going to be at home. There's I don't think there's a single back-to-back involved apart from. No, it's not a goal. There's not a back-to-back involved. No. None at all, is there? No. So the team's going to be at home, no travel. There's going to be a day off in between each game. That allows the team to potentially spring a couple of surprise results or two. I think the schedule just on the run-up to Christmas, the 16th onwards, is a bit of a stinker. 2 games in Boston, a game on the road in Atlanta, and then a trip down to Houston, which, that's possibly one of those games that could go either way by the time it's the end of a road trip. And then home for Christmas, getting, San Antonio on the 23rd and the Lakers on the 27th before we hit the road again to Detroit on the 28th. As always, we've got a West Coast trip that's, 5 games long? I think that's the longest one that we've got in January.
Early January.
9 days. But even when you look at that, it's not as daunting as some of the road trips have been in the past. So I'm genuinely enthused. And I think you said it earlier, Mikey. If we are in or around the play-in or forcing our way into the playoffs, the run-in is quite favourable for it. Three of your final 5 games are home games, playing Detroit and Cleveland twice. And who knows what Brooklyn are going to be like at that point. I like this schedule. I'm happy with it.
You got the Wizards in there. You got the Knicks. The Lakers are in there. I mean, you don't really know what to expect from them either at this point. I mean,
let's be fair. That road trip, March 14th, San Antonio, Phoenix, Clippers, and Lakers. There's some hard games in there, and there's travel involved. Yet again, we've got the back-to-back in LA. With the Lakers on the second night, but who knows? Let's see where we go. I'd say, looking down this schedule, it isn't one that makes you go, really? I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, we always kind of know what to expect from the schedule. It just depends on how it shakes out with stretches towards the end of the season and around key times of the year, really, isn't it? And back-to-backs, all those sorts of things that come into it. So, I mean, I'm just going to talk about it selfishly for the fact that we're all going to be there. And Paul's, I don't know how you've done it, Paul, but you've got the two NBA finalists on the holiday. You get to see Jabari Smith, who the Magic passed on in his first game in Orlando. So that's going to be fun to watch, sorry.
To watch,
I'm slightly like G in that I'm super excited to see the Warriors, but I'm a little gutted that we're playing the Mavericks and Luka at home on the day we fly home. But I might be able to convince Becky to change that, but we'll see. But we got
to see Luka. Why not?
Yeah, but
hang the expense and push the boat out, mate. Enjoy.
But just some notes, really, this is just general observations, but especially for people that are coming from the UK, going to Orlando, want to go and watch the Magic this year. There's some really key stretches. I mean, there's a 7-game homestand in November, starting with the Warriors, which we're going to be there for a few of those games. There is also a 5-game homestand in December, up between the 5th and the 14th.
And some attractive games there. There's some good games.
Yeah.
If you're in town for Milwaukee, the Clippers, twice against Toronto and Atlanta, you'd be happy with that. That's a really good stretch of games to watch.
Yeah. And then the second half of the season, we haven't got it this year, have we? We normally have quite a long homestand after the All-Star break, but this year, favourably, it's worked in our favour that it's flipped the other way around this year.
So we've got a 4-game homestand.
There's a couple of 4s and a couple
Milwaukee,
of 3. Yeah.
Utah, Miami. Yeah.
But
you look after All-Star, and it's not intimidating. After All-Star, it's not intimidating. Now, whether some of that is born out of the belief that we all have, that we spoke about previously, in this young core that we've got, and the excitement that we have around that. But I'm not looking down this year and thinking, well, we're not going to beat them, we're not going to beat them, we're not going to beat them. There's games I expect us to be on the losing end of, but they aren't. I don't think there's anybody that I'm particularly thinking we don't have a chance against. I don't know.
It's the NBA. Anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah, anybody can beat it. Yeah.
It's just about consistency. And this is the thing that we've got to learn being young, isn't it? What are you going to say, G?
That's it. Well, I was just thinking about these, these back-to-backs against teams. And there was a comment last season where, I can't remember, I think it might have been Doc Rivers or somebody said, it's very difficult to beat a team twice consecutively. Mm. So there's going to be a lot of those, and you're looking at who we've got. We've got Philly twice, Boston in there, Toronto. If we can split a couple of those, Indiana, I expect us to beat Cleveland. You don't know what team's going to turn up. So, no, like you said, any team could beat any team on any given night in the NBA. I'm just trying to find Atlanta. So DeJounte Murray. So against Banchero, obviously we've got it in the first week, and then we've got two more matchups with them early December. Actually, no, it's all done. We got three games with Atlanta in December.
Yeah.
So that beef is probably coming at the right time. Yeah. It'll be all done. The thing I did notice
about the schedule that it's the one thing where you look and think, well, that's not weighed evenly. Is in the back-to-backs, we've got 6 out of the 13. We've got 6 of them that are away to an away game. Mm-hmm. We've got 2 that are away to home, so you're travelling from an away game to play in the Amway the following night. So there's still travel involved. We've got 4 where it's home to away. We only have 1 where we are home to home. That's the one thing where you look at the schedule and feel that it's really skewed against us.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, they hate us.
Well, this is our quick instant reactions. Obviously, we've only had 20 minutes or so to dive in and have a bit of a look at this, but the British are coming. I think at the moment, head count, there's close to 25 Brits coming over for the start of the season. I think Angus is coming over from the 13th, I think.
Yeah, I think Angus is there for the final pre-season game.
Yeah.
He and Gary and I will be there for opening night.
That's right. And there's quite a crossover with a lot of us over there. So if you are coming over and you want to come and see us before a game and say hello or whatever, we're going to be organising a couple of things. We haven't planned any of it yet. But
that's not like us at all, is it?
No, not really. But if we can all go to a couple of games together, that's going to be really cool. So 82-0 then, boys. Hey,
let's start positively. Positively.
Why not? So there's not really much point asking you on predictions because we kind of already done this with the over-unders, but we're going to be in with a sniff of the play-in tournament, aren't we?
Yeah, you've got to expect that. Yeah, definitely. And every team's got the same schedule. All the teams in the East have got to play the teams in the East X amount of times. They've got to play the teams in the West twice. So it is how it falls. Are we better than 5 other teams in the Eastern Conference? For me, yes, probably are. So if that's the case, you get 10th and you're in the play-in.
Who's the 5 below us then?
Indiana.
Boston, Milwaukee.
G, are you being controversial and throwing Brooklyn in there?
No. Well, we don't know what's happening with Brooklyn. We don't know what's happening with Brooklyn, do we? So, No, just off the top of my head now, I think we're better than Detroit, New York potentially, Charlotte potentially, Indiana
They've got a
definitely.
good squad.
Who's that now?
Charlotte. They've got a good squad.
They're going to be missing. They got a new coach in with Steve Clifford in there, so it remains to be seen, really, doesn't it? So
and they're not going to have Miles Bridges or Montrezl Harrell.
Are we better than Washington? I think so. So it's touch and go. Like we just said, it's the NBA. Anyone could beat anyone any given night. So you just got to put better stretches together. Just ensure you're within the 10 best teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I wish I'd kept hold of the stat, because at one point I was keeping track of the number of games that we lost by less than 5 points and less than 10 points. It was a ridiculous amount last season.
Yeah, there was 15 games that it was decided by less than 6 points.
Yeah, that's something that you can genuinely build from. Where I don't think last season was a disaster, because we were competitive in so many of those sorts of games. You've got a point to build from, a good position of strength to build from. I'm really excited to see this. Really excited.
Yeah. If you look at the standings from last year, it's kind of flipped, because it's always been, the West has always been the stronger conference out of the two. But last year, you look at San Antonio got into the play-in tournament with 34 wins, whereas in the East, the Hornets got into the play-in tournament with 43 wins. So that jump that we've got to make, providing that balance stays the way it was last year, that's a big jump to go from 22 wins to looking to get into the 40s. I mean, we've seen crazier things happen, but who knows? But
if you have an Orlando team that are more competitive, and you've got a couple of other teams who are potentially pulling a few extra wins here and there, you then see the other teams who have had those 43 wins and stormed the way into the playoffs being pulled back down. Their win percentage will drop also. I think it was more a reflection on how many teams were poor last year than actually some of the strengths.
Yeah, it's a good point. But I don't see... Because you really got to look at the teams we're competing against. I mean, in the East, the only couple of teams that are really questionable for me is, can Chicago sustain what they're doing? Because it feels like there's a bit of a ceiling on that team on how far they can go. I mean, if it doesn't happen for them this year, are they going to blow it up already, or start to consider that as an option? Brooklyn. I mean, if KD and if something happens with KD and Kyrie, then they could be the worst team in the league if you get rid of Kevin Durant. Do you know what I mean? I know you still got Ben Simmons, but we haven't seen him play for year and a half, 2 years. The Hornets, no Miles Bridges. I mean, he's been a big reason why the Hornets had such a good run last year.
Oh yeah, he's a huge loss for them.
Montrezl Harrell as well.
Yeah.
Where's he going to end up?
I mean, DeJounte Murray might drag the Hawks a little bit lower down the East this season. No.
Well, Cleveland had a good year last year. So if that's a good year for Cleveland, what if they have a bad year? What if they have an injury?
Yeah.
They might drop. You mentioned the Knicks. Yeah. It's the Knicks. Anything could happen with them, couldn't it?
As things stand, you don't quite know what... I mean, they finished 37 and 45 last year, but then the rumours have been swirling the last couple of days that they've now re-engaged with Utah about Donovan Mitchell. So if they trade for Donovan Mitchell, you think, well, there's a possibility they're gonna be not a contender, but they're certainly going to be right up in the playoff shout, aren't they?
But they're going to have to give a lot of assets to get Mitchell. So that might, it might be a 1 year reset whilst they retool, get Mitchell in. So they'd obviously build around Brunson and Mitchell then, wouldn't they? So it's going to be a year in transition for them. So there's every chance you can, better them, isn't it?
Yeah. New York's one of those teams that you look at what we did to them a couple of times last season. They are susceptible to a team that comes out with energy. Equally, they can be brilliant. You watch them certain nights and thought, wow, how are you actually struggling at points? They are one of them. They're a Jekyll and Hyde team at times. I think they're one of the hardest ones to actually pigeonhole where you feel that they're going to be come the end of the season. I think the East is going to be very competitive again. Really do. There's no foregone conclusions.
No. That's really all there is to say about the schedule, isn't it? There's 82 games. Everyone's got to play the same amount of games. We've got the All-Star break, which is the 17th to the 19th of February. Hopefully, will we see a Magic player in the main event this year? Maybe.
No.
Be nice. Oh.
It's difficult to call, isn't it?
Not yet.
Markel?
No.
I'd love to see it.
I'm thinking now.
I'd love to see it, but I don't think he's going to get the fan votes, and unless we have an exceptional start, and said player is the driving force, the leader, the one that comes out with all the stats, then obviously maybe the coaches will vote them in, but probably a year too soon, as Paul said.
Yeah. Well, in the coming days, I will get all the games and get the full schedule put onto the website, orlandomagic.uk.com/schedule. We'll put all the tip-off times for everybody in the UK on there. So that will be that. One last thing really to touch on this week. There was the Jordan Paul. It's not even really a rumour, was it? It was just a comment made by an executive that somebody put out on Twitter this week from heavy.com, who, quote, said, "I'd watch out for the Magic to be ready to make an offer if he's restricted, knowing there's a good chance Golden State is not going to match." Now, we've known this for a long time, but I think nationally, everyone's started to realise now the Magic don't leak things. They keep things very close to their chest, which everybody saw unfold at the NBA draft. But is there anything you take from that, boys?
Well, Paul, you first.
Okay. First of all, if we are able to look at somebody like Jordan Poole, I think it's very interesting. However, I'm going to start it off by saying I still want to see what we've got this year. I want to see what Cole can do. I want to see what Markel can do, and I want to see what Jalen can do. I'm not down on any of them after last season. There were high points, there were low points, and that's part of a young team developing. So, yes, I like to see us being linked with somebody who is a NBA champion. Okay, he wasn't their go-to player. No, we all know that. But he is a player who's been on a championship team, so we'll have experience of that understanding of how to get those wins in big games. Whether or not he was instrumental in them, he will have been around players who were, so we'll have that experience. And let's be fair, he did play good minutes in the finals, and certainly in the run-up through the playoffs. But before we get excited, let's see what we've got this season. But if there's an opportunity and he fits, and we haven't got to give away the future by sending all our cap space to get somebody like him, then yes, I'd be interested. I think he's a good player. I think he's a really good prospect, and he certainly fits in with our timeline.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And you mentioned there, he's obviously grown up with a Warriors culture. So he's seen, how things should be done, their winning culture, what it takes to get there. But you made a good point there. He wasn't the be all and end all. He wasn't the guy who had the ball at the death when it was a one possession game. I think he'd probably chase the bag because he's got a ring already. So, but with the Warriors match, if it's a restricted situation, they may just match it just to keep him around. But for me, is he better than Cole Anthony? I think his stats, when I looked at them, are very, very similar. Now, both can shoot the ball, but he's had the benefit of playing with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, where people are going to be on them because of their reputation. So he's probably had a lot more open looks, where Cole, he's been taking forced shots, let's be perfectly honest. So, whilst he can shoot the lights out, I think he's had an easier ride. Defense, probably a little bit suspect. I haven't watched that many Golden State games, but I'm guessing it's probably on par with Cole, perhaps. So for me, let's see what Cole can do, because it might be just overpaying somebody when we've already got somebody like that in Cole Anthony on the roster already. It's nice to be mentioned in these rumours, but like you said, we need to see what we've got this year. Make no hasty decisions, and obviously it'd be a free agent signing, so we wouldn't have to lose somebody. But at the end of the day, I'm guessing, you won't be able to have Poole, Anthony, Fultz, and Suggs. Somebody will have to, be shipped or moved. So let's see what we've got. How about you, Mikey?
I mean, it's nice to be linked with players like that. I mean, it shows that we're heading in the right direction. It's just too early, really. I mean, it's like I said when I started. It's not even really a rumor, is it? It's just a comment that other executives are just trying to guess what might happen.
It's probably his agent, to be honest with you.
Possibly. I mean, for the Warriors, I mean, there's going to come a point, and I know they've hopefully still got a good couple of years left in them, but they're all on the wrong side of 30, aren't they? Clay, Draymond, Steph, and
this is why I was so excited when they dropped.
Yeah,
in this trip for us, because they aren't going to be around for that many more years.
No, and
especially not at the peak of their game.
No, and you've got to enjoy it while they're here. Like I said to you guys earlier when we had a chat before that. I mean, I'm not comparing them, but this is like a modern day version of seeing MJ and the Bulls, seeing Steph Curry and the Warriors. That's the game that we get to see in November. But yeah,
what is it? 4 champions 4 times in the past 8.
Yeah. So
I think that's right, isn't it?
It's they've got to, and I know they will, because you can tell they're a very well run organisation. They've got to start thinking, right, what's the plan once they've gone? I mean, they might just blow it up and start all over again, but then they've already got Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole. They've already got that sort of next young core of players that they're already developing.
Wiseman
as well. Yep, good shout. Andrew Wiggins still is G's favourite All-Star. But they've got a core of, but if you take those 4 or 5 players and stick them in a starting lineup, that's still arguably just as competitive as some of the other teams in the league. So, yeah, we'll see. But for us, like, it's too early to think about all that. I mean, let's enjoy Paolo's debut season, and Caleb Houston's going to get a chance, hopefully, to show what he can do.
And we all want to see how much more Franz can develop.
Yeah,
he's almost getting overlooked in and around the concentration that we're having on the backcourt and getting Paolo. Franz is almost getting overlooked in the conversations, but going into his second year, he showed so much last year. as much as I'm excited to see Pal, I'm so excited to get to see Franz. I think it's going to be being in the arena to actually watch him, the intelligent plays that he makes off the ball that you don't always pick up on camera because of how coverage is. It will be fascinating to watch him, I think.
Yeah. I agree.
Can I ask one question?
What's that?
Coming back to the schedule, are you disappointed that we weren't in the Christmas Day schedule?
No, because it wasn't going to happen, was it?
Just a
Maybe
question.
in a couple of years' time. We got to make that Memphis Grizzlies jump for us to be in that sort of conversation. It's a bit.
I don't think we should have been in the conversation. I don't think we should have been in the conversation. By the way, just it was a question I saw where it was being asked, "Have we been snubbed?" I don't think we have.
No,
we haven't. But I've got to say, why the hell are the Los Angeles Lakers and the New York Knicks on Christmas Day? They're awful,
basis, mate.
This is the reason G wanted to play the Lakers, because he just wanted to unleash all this hatred he's had for so many years in one game, one night, and he's missed out.
One thing you've got to remember, G, is that we only get to go every so often. So you don't want to have a team that you really loathe, that you're going to be shouting abuse at, get kicked out in your first game of a 2-week trip and banned from the Amway. It's not something you want, man.
Who knows? I mean, hopefully we'll be heading back over in April for the playoffs against maybe Boston or Miami in the first round. So you can do that then, G. Hey?
Yeah. Well, I fully expect Paul to do it on opening night. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but Paul's a lover. Paul's a lover. He's not a hater.
House. Yeah, exactly, pal.
Hey?
Have to get Angus or Gary to do it then.
Yeah.
We will be loud and proud, mate, supporting the team.
Yeah, 100%. What else was I going to say? Last thing as well, we've got Eurobasket. I'm sure we'll probably talk about this on the next couple of episodes, but we've got Eurobasket starting on the 1st of September, I think. So we're about 2 weeks away from that, which I think is about 18 days long, Eurobasket. We've got Great Britain in there representing, and then obviously Franz and Mo Wagner will be representing Germany. So it'll be all.
Oh no, Mo's injured, mate. Mo's injured.
Yeah, Mo's not been playing.
Is he not playing in? No. Is he going to be out for Eurobasket as well?
He wasn't featured.
He's hurt his ankle.
Oh, he's done then. All right.
Yeah, he's done.
Scrap that then. We'll just watch Franz. But we got that to look forward to, and then pretty much when that's done, we've got about a week, 10 days, and then training camp starts. So it's all guns blazing then. So there we go.
Yeah,
cool,
quality,
awesome,
quality.
Well, thank you as always for listening and watching. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Orlando Magic UK. For the latest news, you can visit our website, orlandomagicuk.com. So from Geraint, Paul, and myself, until next week, go Magic.